to the Eligible In podcast, where we interview eligible singles who have been endorsed by their friends and family in the hopes that they'll get scooped up by a listener of the show. I am your host, Devin, and I'm so excited to introduce today's guest, Sky. Sky lives in New York City with her dog, Tuca, named, of course, after the former Boston Bruins goalie, Tuukka Rask. Because as we know, everything good comes from Boston, including Sky herself. She's a vegetarian and she loves to bake and host her friends for get-togethers. And she is turning 30 in June. Happy early birthday, Sky.
Thank you. I have a little bit less than a month. It's June 21st. So I'm in my last month of my 20s. If you have any recommendations for things I need to do before I turn 30, let me know. I know there's that Friends episode where before Rachel turns 20, they do all those crazy things. If we have any bucket list items,
send you a full list. It's also it's very fitting that you bake and that you're a Cancer.
Yes. Honestly, the baking started not even during COVID. I know a ton of people who started baking during COVID. I started baking when I moved into my studio apartment and was like, how do I get my friends to come over? And so if you have a baked good, they will come.
Yeah.
So I started doing pies of the week where I would just take a poll of some of my close friends and be like, what do you want me to bake this week? Let me know a pie. And that's kind of how my baking got it started. And now it's just a hobby. And now I do bread too. So I'm not even just in sweets. But yeah, no, I have a tiny, tiny New York City kitchen. So my dream is to move into a bigger apartment and have an island where I can kind of get it all messy. But for now, my 2x2 will have to do.
Yeah, I feel like that's where all bakers start. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I think that honestly, in New York City, there's probably restaurant kitchens that are smaller than mine. Small space everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you can make something beautiful in that environment, then you could make something beautiful anywhere, you know?
Yeah. Now, I won't say it's beautiful, but definitely tastes good. So I'm still working on my piping skills when it comes to cakes, but that will come later.
That's amazing. Speaking of things that are beautiful, you were referred to Eligible In by your sister, Jackie. And
yes.
In that spirit, I had both of your sisters write you beautiful letters of recommendation.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So I wanted to read them.
Gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So to all of the eligible listeners out there, take note. Here is what your sister Maddie had to say. Also, Maddie wrote hers like an injury lawyer ad. It said, do you crave a relationship where you're the least funny and attractive one? Do you like New York City nightlife, single mothers of adorable, mentally unstable dogs, and always needing to find a restaurant with a vegetarian option? Then my sister is perfect for you. Sky is always living her best life, whether it be weekend concerts, traveling to festivals all over the country, or hosting weekly Sunday brunch for her 40 friends in a studio apartment. But after all that's considered, Sky is the most loyal person I've ever met, who is just waiting for the right person to give her whole heart to.
God, that is so sweet. She doesn't say that nice stuff to my face, so I'm like, oh my gosh.
This is what Jackie said about you. At the ripe age of 30 years young, I'm still not sure why Sky hasn't found her match. She's funny, witty, just the right amount of annoying, can bake, and is a skilled enough hostess to host weekly brunch for 12 plus people. She rounded down to 12 from 40.
Yeah.
12 plus people in her studio apartment. Her flaws, she'll say she has none, but as her sister, I'd like to name a few. She's a vegetarian for starters, which we usually let slide because she's still willing to make Thanksgiving turkey and other various non-vegetarian options for us carnivores. Next flaw, she's annoyingly quick-witted and will usually beat you to the punchline of a joke that you thought of at the same time as her. Her dog is also a little high maintenance at times, but aren't most only children. As for additional selling/pleading points, my husband Francis would like to add that he's ready for another man to join our chaotic family events. Our family get-togethers are anything but boring, and my husband would like a fellow male to hide with him when he sneaks away to grab a beer real quick.
Yes.
When it comes to dating Sky, all you need to be is outgoing, down for a good time, obviously kind and respectful, enjoy the company of dogs, as our family has 3, and be up to the challenge of keeping up with our crazy but fun family.
Oh, that's really sweet. I love how she added in that thing about my brother-in-law because he's been the only guy in our family for almost 6 years. It's me, two sisters, my mom, my dad. My dad always really wanted sons. So now that he has Francis, like that's his bro time. And I think Francis is like, he's a little bit more like, he's a little bit more mellow than the rest of us. So I think that he would like someone to be there with him.
Yeah, to share.
But those were both really sweet. I do want to say I am a vegetarian, but I'm not like a very frilly, like I need you to only eat at vegan restaurants kind of person. As long as there's one thing on a menu, I will like always go for it. So I'm like, great, one thing I can eat. It's good to go. It makes going out to eat a lot easier because I can just like spot the one thing I can eat and be like, all right, there we go. That's it.
I also feel like vegetarian is a little easier than vegan. And you're vegetarian,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I could never live without cheese. I have like ice cream almost every day in the summer, I swear. Yeah.
You mentioned that you went to school in South Carolina, and I'm so curious how different that dating scene is compared to New York, where you ended up. I would imagine those are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very different. Yeah. So going to school in South Carolina, I went to College of Charleston. I originally went there to do hospitality, which College of Charleston has an amazing hospitality program, a huge tourism industry. Made a lot of sense for me to go there. The school itself was amazing. The ratio of guys to girls was like 60-40, maybe even a little bit more than that. So there were definitely more women than there were men.
Yeah.
And I think that the amount of attractive women to attractive men was also like a whole different ratio of its own. So it was a very skewed dating pool in terms of like who you did and did not want to date. And then there was also just like a different factor in terms of like where you grew up, right? So about 50% of the school was out of state and 50% was from in-state. So you had a lot of very, very Southern, think like either like redneck Southern where you're wearing camo and going hunting on the weekends, or the very preppy Southern where they're wearing like, what was it called? It wasn't Vineyard Vines, but it was something very similar, like Southern
Lily
Tides
Pulitzer.
or something like, yes, Lily Pulitzer. Yes, like that kind. And then there was a lot of people from the North. And I feel like that's typically in terms of friends, I was friends with everyone. I had a ton of friends who were from South Carolina and Georgia and everything like that. But when it came to dating, I think that I kind of fell into my comfort zone there where I was just dating a lot of people who were from the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely very different. And I also think that mentality that there were more guys to girls like led to a lot of men that were there not necessarily acting the best towards women because they knew that there was a bit more out there. But Southern dating culture is also very different because people date to marry very young. So we had a lot of people that we knew that were like getting engaged junior year of college or getting married senior year of college, first year out of school. And that's very different from where we grew up. Obviously I'm almost 30 and single, so did not do that, but it was definitely like a big part of the culture down there that you got married and you start a family and you settle down pretty young.
Yeah. Was that an adjustment for you? Like, were you used to sort of like dating or being around people like that, and then to come to New York where I imagine it's like opposite, like Peter Pan syndrome? I can be single here for as old as I want and there's no judgment, and it's, there's so many people.
Yeah.
I can get lost in a sea.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly. It was a very stark difference between New York City and South Carolina. I think when I first got here, like dating was kind of in the back of my mind. I was really just trying to adjust to moving to a very large city, way bigger than Boston, which was my city growing up. So it was really just like trying to navigate the city. And I didn't realize until I started going on dates that it was very different. Like you would meet guys, I think I was like 23 when I moved here, dating between like 23 and 26 that were saying that they were too young to have a serious relationship. And I was like, that's so weird because I actually need a date to my friend's wedding from the South, like in 2 weeks. Like they're already married and like planning to have a baby soon. So it was very, very different. And yeah, the Peter Pan syndrome is real. I remember hearing one of my girlfriends who had lived here for about a year longer than me talk about it. And my first relationship when I got here, I met a guy through a friend of a friend. I think we were like 23, 24. And he like flat out told me, he was like, well, I don't want a girlfriend until I'm 27. And I was like, oh, so you're planning it out.
Do you find in New York that you prefer the apps and online dating because it like aggregates everyone for you in one place, or are you more of like an IRL type when it comes to meeting people?
Yeah, so I would say that I think that the apps are really great because it allows you to meet way more people than you would in real life. Like if you're someone that you could really get along with is 2 blocks away at like another restaurant, but you're hanging out at this restaurant, you guys would have never bumped into each other. So I do think that that's a really great like method to meet people. I know a lot of people in New York who have met like their now spouses or girlfriends on apps. So I definitely don't shy away from it. But I do think that I'm a much more like I go very much off of vibes and energy. So I can tell like it's much easier to tell that in person than it is to tell that like via a text. Like I think I'm really funny when I'm sending a text, and I'm probably not being as funny as I think I'm being, or at least
You are.
or maybe they don't know my humor. I don't know. But like, do you know what I mean? Like it's just like a bit easier to read that when you're in person. So I don't discount like either method, but I think both are really great options for meeting people. And I've met people like using both.
Yeah. I also just feel like sometimes with apps, it feels like you're not looking at real people, or you're like playing a game and swiping through a deck of cards. Like it doesn't pop out of the page like I'm looking at a real person.
Yeah. And I think that's the same thing too about like reading energy, right? Where it's like, there's no, like, yes, you can kind of tell from someone's profile whether or not they're like, you think they're a bit funny by how they answer a prompt or things like that. But you don't really know anything about like how they carry themselves or how they act, in person, just by reading like and everyone's putting their best foot forward when they're going on an app. Like they're trying to pick their best pictures. They're trying to make the funniest prompts. So if you meet them in person, I think you're able to like gauge a little bit better if like you're going to mesh as opposed to on the app. But again, it's like in a city like New York, there's almost 8 million people here. How are you going to meet? You never know if there's going to be someone who's a little bit better for you unless you're trying to meet people like through other ways. It is a little bit difficult though, because I feel the same way, Devin. I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, this is just a picture on my screen. It's not someone who's I would try to date.
You talked, or I mean, your sisters really did, about you hosting groups of 40, but
yeah,
it sounds like you have a pretty good, solid group of friends in the city, which always helps when you're looking to just like get out there and meet people. Are they predominantly single, or is it a mix of single and coupled up?
Yeah, so it's definitely a mix of both. I think when we all met, we were pretty much all single, but since we've become friends, like I've had the same group of like core friends for the past 5 years since I've been here, and then a couple of my girlfriends from college are also here. Some of them are now in relationships, but some of them are still single, and I think that they still like we still all do the same things. I know like the priority for them is not necessarily going out and meeting people. Most of the time when I'm going out, I wouldn't say that that's the main driver. Like, typically I'm going out to spend time with my friends, or we have an activity to go to or a party to go to. And, it's always in the back of your mind. You're like, maybe there will be someone here who's cute. But for the most part, we're going out to go do something. So I think that that's why we've been able to maintain such good friendships, even though some of them are in relationships and some of us aren't, is that we never make it really about that when we're hanging out together. And a lot of my guy friends are really good wingmen. They'll actually like be like, that person over there is really cute. We should go talk to that person. And will like kind of hype me up. Yeah. So it's really nice. I think that I do that with them as well. And same thing with my girlfriends that are in relationships. Like I think everyone's kind of, there's no pressure to be finding anyone, but it is like if there is someone like got your back 100%.
Do they ever, it sounds like they're great wing men and wing women. Do they ever play matchmaker? It's so funny to me, the ones like the coupled friends that just have that on their minds, and the ones that are just like, it's not on their radar because they've been coupled up for so long they forget it's a thing.
Yeah. So my last serious relationship was with someone who was set up through a friend of a friend. And that was really great. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like keep them coming, like bring more to me. And I kind of found that like once we were no longer together, things did get like a tad bit awkward in terms of like, not having us in the same, now we're totally fine. We can be in this, like we go to parties together, we like see each other at dinners, like it's not a big deal at all. But I think for a while there was like a little bit of awkwardness between like, oh, like are we going to invite both of them, or are we going to invite one of them? So I found that like after being like it went that serious, that maybe it wasn't necessarily like the best to be dating friends of friends, or at least not like close friends of friends. So it's like if you have like a peripheral person that that's single, like maybe your coworker, like definitely send them along. But if it's like your best friend from college, maybe
too close.
We wouldn't want to get too close for comfort or make anyone feel uncomfortable.
That makes sense. You talked earlier about how when you think about the partner that you're looking for, you think about it like building a Lego boyfriend and
Yes.
constructing just like different pieces. And I'm so curious, if you were to build your ideal Lego boyfriend, what would that look like in terms of like appearance, characteristics, just like give me everything.
Yeah, Lego boyfriend is a term that me and my friends coined a few years ago when we were dating like multiple people and being like, oh well, I like this about him and I like this about him. So like, how do we take it all and make it one person? So we decided Lego boyfriend. But I think for me, my like ideal partner, I know it sounds like very cliche, but I don't really have a physical type that I look for. I think the only thing that like is a requirement is that they like are taller than me, which I'm not very tall. I'm 5'6", so I think that opens a pretty broad range. But in terms of characteristics, I would definitely say someone who is outgoing. I have a lot of friends. I also like to go out, even if it's just the two of us, to dinners and to restaurants, concerts, things like that. So someone who definitely enjoys getting out of the house and not just being a homebody, which obviously I am as well. But I also think that like loyalty is really important to me as well. Someone who has a lot of humor. You could tell by what my sister said. We're a very rambunctious group, so having some humor, and then also someone who doesn't take things like too seriously all the time. Like I would say I'm a very patient person, pretty calm. So when it comes to certain things, just like not letting it like really bog you down, I'm definitely like a roll off the shoulder kind of person. And I think I've been able to through my life figure out big picture what is like the most important things. Like if I am going to get upset about something, it's going to be something that's pretty important. And I think that people know that about me. So if I am upset, they're like, oh no, we did our big one here. But yeah, I would say definitely outgoing, loyal, someone who's a kind heart. I think that that's like really important. I tend to give my heart to a lot of my friends, and I think that that's like something that's so important. Even if it's just like the wait staff at a restaurant, just someone who like is always like leading with kindness, I think is really important. You don't have to be a vegetarian, but you do have to eat my baked goods and tell me they're good, because that will make me upset.
I have a really fun game that we can play.
Oh, yay. Okay.
And it's going to be kind of hard. It's kind of a little bit evil, which is what I like about it.
Oh God.
So
okay.
now that our listeners have gotten to know you a little better, we're going to play a fun game called Pick Your Battle. So I'm going to list 12 different hypothetical relationship conflict scenarios.
Okay.
And you have to say whether you'd pick that battle as I go battle by battle.
Okay.
So the challenge for you is that you, of course, don't know what I'm going to say next and what's coming. So you may think that this particular battle that I'm telling you is a battle, but then, you know, in the scheme of things and among the rest of the list, it may not be. And you can only pick 5 battles.
Oh, okay. So 5 of the 12. Okay. This will be fun. All right.
It's
I'll keep
super
track
easy.
of them in my head.
That sounded overcomplicated, but basically I'll just give you the scenario and then I'll end with the question, do you pick this battle? And then I need to keep track, remind myself to keep track as we go and remind you how many battles you have left.
Okay, cool.
So we'll give you give you 5 battles.
Okay, got it.
Okay. You ready for battle 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Make it easy.
You're dating a guy for a few months. You've been on a handful of dates, but he is always late to the venue by at least 15 minutes. Do you pick this battle?
No. I mean, I was late to this podcast, so I can't.
Yeah. I would be so hypocritical if I...
Yeah, seriously. I was like, no. If you made me wait for like a few hours every time, I mean, don't even think I'd wait for a few hours.
Yeah, I wouldn't be there to be
15 minutes is a grace period. That's what you get on any reservation anyways.
I completely agree. I think anything before 15 is not late in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would also make the argument that sometimes like being early is an inconvenience. Like, who are you going to talk to? What are you going to do?
Honestly, I showed up one time early for a reservation with a group of my girlfriends, and I was there for almost 30 minutes by myself because I went to go get the table for everyone, and I was like, this is why I don't show up early, because I was like, I'm so bored. I was like, I'm going to watch TikTok while the server asks me 5 times if I want to order a drink. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm just holding the table for my friends to get here. And of course they were 15 minutes late. So I was like, I should have just come right on time and got the table. But yeah, I was like, I don't care about 15 minutes late.
Yeah, no. I don't even know that I noticed. Okay, so we're not picking that one. Here's the second one. He stays over frequently and you're really digging each other, but the overnight stays are still kind of a new thing. And he leaves his beard trimmings all over your sink.
In the context that it's still pretty new, I think I'll get over it. I don't think I'll pick the battle, but when my dad does it, I get pretty annoyed at my apartment because I was like, you've stayed here so many times. I was like, why are you not cleaning up after yourself? But I think after a few months, like, no, I probably wouldn't say anything unless it's unsanitary to the point where I'm like, something's going on.
Right.
I think there will be worse ones that I need to pick. So I'm going to say no.
You're going to save it. I also think that one too, like, the measure should be like after you say something. Like if you call the person out and they continue doing it, then like maybe that's battle. But
yeah, exactly. I also am like, it hasn't been that long. I'm sure it's just something that they're not, it doesn't sound like they're doing it on purpose either. So
right. Hopefully teachable.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is your boyfriend uses the last of something, but he never replaces it. Toilet paper roll, things like that, leaving just like a little milk inside of the bottle, not leaving it in the fridge, not recycling the empty container, things like that. Do you pick this battle?
That would probably be a battle I'd pick. I like to have like a restock of everything that I have. And if I don't know that it's running low, I probably wouldn't have restocked it yet. So I'm like, just let me know when it's running low and I'll go and get a new one, or I'll send you to the store to get a new one. But I don't like that's just an inconvenience in your own home, I think. Plus he's my boyfriend. So I was like,
right.
You would know
but you bring up a good point of like, I also feel like when you're in New York City, it's kind of a schlep. Unless you're getting like Instacart, but even then, you're not going to do like a one-off, like one thing of milk because you didn't notice it was gone kind of thing. So then you're schlepping through the streets, you know.
Yeah, it's like, I always say that New York is one of the most convenient but inconvenient places in the world. Like you have anything at your fingertips, but then you also, if you want to go get groceries, most of us don't have cars. So I'm like walking to the store, carrying both bags of groceries in the freezing winter. You want me to walk to the store and get the milk because you didn't tell me to?
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, that's gonna have to be a tomorrow problem because I'm not doing it if it's cold outside like that. Yeah. But yeah, that will be my first battle I'll pick is like either let me know that it's running low and I can pick it up, or I'm sending you out to go get some if we need it.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm learning a lot. So that's the first battle. Number 4, he is a great communicator, super sweet, texts you encouraging and positive things, but his punctuation and grammar is abhorrent and uses the improper your and your, among other abuses of the English language.
I don't mean to sound snooty, but I think that would just be endgame for me. I don't know if I'd go on more than a couple. I don't know if I would go on more than a couple dates with him. I'm also like not really a words of affirmation person. Like I do appreciate it, but I would say that my love languages are definitely, that would rank a little bit lower on the list. So the encouraging message
enough to offset the grammar.
Yeah.
Meaning if he's saying nice things, positive things.
Yeah. And like also if you're using shorthand when you're texting, like I don't care. But if you are consistently using the wrong form of there, I'm like, we're 30. We learned that a long time ago. So I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily pick the battle, but it would be a turnoff.
Yeah. That would be like,
that makes sense.
Such a hard no for me. I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Because I don't even think it's worth a battle, you know?
Yes. I'm like, right. It would almost just like, okay, if we're early texting and I'm picking this up from you, then like maybe it's not going to be a fit kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
More like an end scene of the battle.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm actually not going to fight with you over the fact that you don't know which your to use. I unfortunately think this has run its course.
We won't count that as a battle, but it's actually even more extreme, just ending it.
Yeah, no, I'm like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, it's really not worth my effort to fight about it. It's kind of how I think about it.
Right. I feel like that early on back and forth can give you such an ick and can just like make the decision for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're not going to count that. What's the next one? He's stayed over a few times and always leaves the toilet seat up.
That I'm going to have to pick a battle with. So that's number 2. And I think I honestly have lived alone for so long. And I also grew up with, like, my house was my mom and my sister. So I never had to deal with it. And one of my guy friends comes over here and never remembers to put the toilet seat down. And I have yelled at him a couple times for it. Because I don't look before I'm going to sit. And, like, it's happened a couple times where I'm like, this is my own home. I never expected this to be like this in my own home.
Right.
So, yeah, I would have to say something about that. That would be at first an ask, and then if they don't do it, it would be a battle.
Yeah, like you want to be able to trust the lid in your own home.
Exactly. You know, I'm like in my own home.
Yeah. So are we at 2 or 3? 2.
I think 2.
Oh, this is a good one. He has a friend you can't stand and you think is an awful human being, but your guy just doesn't seem to realize that he is the devil's spawn.
God, that's so hard because I'm like, I don't want to tell him who we can and can't be friends with. Like, I would never want to do that. I think I would probably ask if we could spend less time with them, but like, I'd secretly have my opinion that it depends on what they're doing. If they're doing something like really egregious or being disrespectful to my friends, like, he's out of here. Doesn't even get 3 strikes, you're out. But if he's just really obnoxious, I'm gonna be like, can we not hang out with Billy this weekend? I was like, I don't have the mental capacity. So I would say, how many are we at? That would be 3.
That would be your third.
Okay. I think it depends on the circumstances. I would definitely pick the battle.
Should we do it?
In terms of, yeah. I was like, maybe.
Yeah.
We can do that. Okay.
I also think too, like, when you're getting to know someone, your friends are such a reflection of who you are as a person too. So like, I might be in my head about that too. Like,
yeah, no, I think
is he low key a jerk and I'm just not seeing it because I'm blinded.
Yeah, I think there's also, as you've gotten to, like, if you've been friends for a really long time, sometimes you're like, well, that's just how, you know, so and so is. But I'm like, I don't think so and so should be, like, if they're a complete jerk, that's when I'm like, yeah, no, we're not having them around. They just, like, I don't know, if they get too drunk when they're watching football, I'm like, really weird. If that's your friend Billy, that's your friend Billy. Billy is just a name I'm making up. I don't know any annoying people named Billy.
I feel like he's a Billy. I think that fits.
Yeah, right? You know who I'm, like, you're just, you can picture him. You can picture him.
Yeah, he gets a little drunk when he watches football. Otherwise harmless. This one, he posts the most unflattering photos of you two on social media without asking you. I
think we might have a difference of opinion on this, Evan. I don't think I'd care. I don't really think that, I don't think I look good in many photos. So I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, that's just me. Like, I've had worse photos posted by, like, my girlfriends for my birthday, so I don't think that one bothers me that much. I'm like, that's actually.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard of that with friends the opposite. Like, I'm with a guy and I get, like, no presence on his social. Like, you look at his Instagram and think that he's single. Like, there's no sign of me. That's what I hear.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, also too, I've never been in a relationship like that, but I do know that would bother me more than the unflattering photos, would be the, especially if he's posting other things, like if he's like, you know, like reposting a story of something else, like, I think that would definitely bother me, because I'm like, why don't you want to show me off? But even if you're showing me off and then, like, I don't know, as long as I'm there, if there's a bad photo of me, like, sleeping, I'm like, whatever, that was funny. I think I can let that one go. But yeah, I think that the not posting would bother me a bit more than the posting embarrassing photos.
Yep. He still wears a favorite t-shirt in public that now has holes in it. It's his favorite band tee from college and he can't let it go.
God, that's hard, because I also don't want to tell him what to wear, but I think if we're in public, especially if we're going somewhere, if we're like going somewhere and he wants to wear it, I would say I'd have to pick the battle. If he was like running out to grab a coffee or something, like New York City, everyone, like, you're either look like you're so done up or you're homeless. So, like, I don't really think that the holes in a shirt, some people might probably even think that's fashionable. So I don't think I would care. But if we were going to an event, I think I'd have to pick a battle and say we got to wear something without holes in it to this dinner reservation. So I think I'm at 4 now.
Are we counting that
so
one?
Yeah. I was like, I think all of them are situational, but obviously this is just one line, so I'm not getting the full picture anyways.
Yeah, we're at 4. You're better at counting than I am. Okay, so we have one left. He wears unscented or natural deodorant that is not working for him.
Oh my God. Am I going to use my last one right now?
This?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't. Well, they got worse. I should have saved some. I don't think I would pick a battle, but I would definitely, like, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't think I could deal with smelly.
Yeah. Like politely.
I mean, like, if you're like, if you're working out, like, whatever. But if you're like, just walking around with unscented deodorant and you smell really bad, I think I'd have to say something.
Should we pick it?
Yeah, I think I have to pick that battle.
Yeah, I feel like matters of hygiene are pretty important.
Yeah, I think so too. I also just think I would be really upset if someone didn't do that for me.
Yeah.
If I was smelling really unwell and people were like not saying anything about it, I just thought I smelled fine. Like, same thing if you have something in your teeth, like, and no one says something, I'd be like, are you even my friend? You didn't say anything to me? That would make me really upset.
Or the friends who get, like, mad at you and you say, I'm like, well, I thought you would want to know.
No, seriously. I had a we can cut this out later, but I had a bagel this morning and I was eating it with my neighbor and I came back and I had poppy seeds in my teeth and I was like, what the heck? You didn't say anything? I was like, what happens if I got on a meeting? I was like, thankfully I just went home, but I was like, oh my God, I would have embarrassed myself.
So I feel like you did well because you got all the way to number 9 and we only had 12. Do you want to hear the other 3?
Yeah, might as well. I'll let you know whether or not I would have picked the battle or not, even though I'm like out of battles.
Yeah. You are down to do the job, but would appreciate it if he did a little manscaping down there. Do you pick this battle?
Like, no, I wouldn't necessarily say like right away. No.
Yeah.
It was like really, really gross. I think that's more of a hygiene thing, but yeah, whatever. I don't think I'd care if I was in the mood too. So I feel like whatever.
Nothing's stopping it. He still follows his ex on social media and he likes and leaves friendly comments on her photos.
I think I'd have to know the context. Like if it was like a very recent ex that you dated for like 7 years and were in love with, I'd be like, that's a little weird. But if it's like your high school ex-girlfriend, like, or if it's like someone you dated for a little bit, now you guys are just in the same friend group, I'd be like, whatever. Yeah. I don't think I'd necessarily care depending on the context there.
Right. Makes sense. Last one. He always takes his mom's advice, but never yours.
I just feel like that's like a little indicative of a bigger problem. I like don't care if you're close with your mom, obviously, but I think the never taking my advice part would probably upset me because it was like, you don't, maybe you don't value what I have to say, or I might just not know what you're looking for that much. And I'm like, maybe we're just not compatible there.
Right.
If you don't take any of my advice.
Mm-hmm. Or he's just like a huge mama's boy.
Yeah. And like, if your mom is giving you advice that I'm like, is I think a little counterproductive to your life and you're still following it because it's your mom, I'd be like, that's a little bit of a red flag. Or a major red flag.
Or a major one.
I'm like, you're 30 and you call your mom for every decision. I'm like, let's reevaluate that.
Yeah. Like some of the outer circumstances maybe are speaking more volumes than the, So flipping the script, now that we've talked about the battles you'd pick, what is some advice that you'd give to your future partner about dating you in terms of like, what are some battles you tell him are worth picking or just are not worth picking?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say I'm like very, very open to feedback and criticism. So I would say like, honestly, not even like picking a fight. I think that I'm one of those people that like I again lead with kindness. So a lot of it is like, I feel like as long as you explain to me what's going on and why it bothers you, then we can have a conversation. And I really don't care about much. But I would say if I'm tired, don't try and bring anything up to me because I need to sleep. And so if I'm tired and you're like, well, now I want to talk about this, I'm going to be more annoyed that you're not letting me sleep than I am about anything you have to say. And I'll probably be a little grumpy. So I would say right before I fall asleep is not a good time to pick a fight with me. And if I haven't had my coffee yet in the morning.
You know, like the famous never go to bed mad?
Yeah.
You know? So like.
I know people say that. I'm actually the opposite. I'm like, I'd rather sleep on it and take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I think it's also just like when you have a clear head, you're going to be much more understanding of like meeting someone where they're at, having a conversation. Whereas if I'm like really tired and my brain's already half off, I'm not going to be receptive either to what you're saying. So I think that that's just going to lead to a place of like, I'll probably be a little bit more quick to anger or be a little bit more quick to like, to come back or whatever. Whereas if you had just talked to me like in the morning, I probably would have been in a much better headspace and been a bit more receptive. So I would say that's probably my number one, but I like really am like, I know that sounds like really obnoxious, but anything like I'm open to have any conversation. And I would say like something I would tell my future partner is like, if it doesn't like, I think that it sometimes bothers people that things don't bother me as much as they think it should. Like, I think that's probably a pretty big criticism that I have from a lot of my friends where they're like, why didn't that bother you? And I think for me, it's just like, I might not have been seeing it that way. And so I'm like, as long as you come to me and you like explain to me why something I did upset you or like why that annoyed you, like I'll be like, oh yeah, absolutely. I think that like, thanks for bringing it to my attention, but don't get bothered if I didn't realize that the first couple times. Because again, I think I'm just such a pretty easygoing person to the point where I'm like, I don't even think I would have noticed that.
Yeah.
So I would say like, that's probably the number one thing is like, don't get mad if I don't notice that something bothered you or notice that it should have been a bigger deal that it was.
Yeah. Like it's not me being careless, it's me being easygoing.
Yeah, and I hate kind of like that phrase too, saying like you're easygoing. I just think that like it's one of those things where I've always just been like, there are bigger fish to fry. Like if something really big were to happen, I'd obviously wouldn't let it roll off my chest. But I think that there are like little things where I'm like, that small thing happened, or like whatever, and people are like, that should have made you a bit more upset. And I'm like, sorry, I like didn't mean to not get bothered by something. I don't know. I would say like that's probably the best way I'd put it.
I mean, that's probably why you got all the way to number 9 out of 12 on the Choose Your Battles game. I feel like I would have been out the first 4. That's a testament to your easygoing nature. Is there anything before we close out that you think the world should know about you that we haven't already covered?
I'm trying to think. I guess we didn't really talk about my job at all. Is that something I want to like bring up?
Yeah, I think we could.
Okay,
Yeah, I feel
cool.
like I feel like I skipped right over it, but it occupies so much of a person's time and life. I'm also curious too, yeah, hearing what you do, industry you're in, and also like some people are so anti dating someone in the workplace, and I think this current culture has like changed that a little bit too, like coming out of like, Me Too, and people don't really know how to tread those waters. But I'm so curious too if you'd want to date someone in your industry because you love like talking about your job so much, or you'd be comfortable dating someone in your specific workplace and things like that too.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't have a chance to talk much about work. Not that I think that that's the most interesting thing about me, but I guess just to let the listeners know that I work in finance. I'm a senior financial analyst. I work in tech here in New York City at a startup. I've been there for about 2.5 years, and I really like work. But the best thing I love about my company is that I have a really great work-life balance. I think that I'm able to really just work 40, maybe 50 hours if it's a really busy week. And then they give me a lot of time to be myself, or obviously not a lot of finance jobs. I feel like you are working 90 plus hours a week. Something that I really like about my company is I don't have to do that, so I have a lot of time to travel and hang out with my friends. I think that that's also I don't necessarily need to date anyone who's like in the tech space or in the finance space, but I do think that I really enjoy having a 9 to 5 schedule. And then with my partner, like we both have the same time off, and then we can go and do fun things together. So I guess that's like a little bit about me. In terms of like other things, I know we talked a little bit about my dog. My sisters did say he is high maintenance. He just has a little bit of anxiety. So I think that he just really he's also a very big homebody. So you don't have to worry about like us needing to like constantly like be doing things with him. But he's 8 years old now, so he's pretty mellow. And then, yeah, other than that, like,
I don't know how we missed Tuca. That's
I know.
Really, I mean, he was touched on a little bit, but we really didn't dive in.
I know. Yeah. He's actually just been sitting, and he has like a little bed that's next to my desk, and he's been sitting there for the entire time we've been on here just to sleep. He hasn't been bothered once by the fact that I'm talking. So yeah, that's been really great. He was a little sick yesterday. So I think he's just kind of mellowing out. Yeah, no, he's 8 now. So he's definitely pretty chill. He's been looking for his dad his entire life, and I don't know what to tell him. So
what would you do if you started dating a guy and your dogs weren't compatible?
I think that like obviously that's really tough. I think that the dog compatibility part would be pretty big, just because like, you never want them to like especially the fighting. Like you never just want them to be either scared of each other or them to get hurt. So I think that would probably be a big thing. But I mean, he is kind of an asshole. So as long as the other person's dog is pretty chill, like he'll eventually learn to love anyone with a little bit of force. Yeah.
But you couldn't have 2 alphas. So it would have to be
I don't even necessarily think he's alpha. I think he just gets really scared. And so if he doesn't, it would just have to be an introduction process. But yeah, I don't think that's not really big deal. He's obsessed with my neighbor across the hall has a dog, and they're like literally attached to the hip. Like he sometimes would prefer to be over there and hang out with them than hang out with me, just because he loves his dog friend. Yeah, it's going to be a big problem when either of us moves away.
Well, Sky, I'm so happy that we were able to hard launch you into the Eligible In orbit today. And hopefully this episode puts out all the good vibes and manifests the Lego boyfriend of your dreams.
Yeah.
And to all the listeners out there who were enamored by Sky and her story, you know what to do. Shoot us an email at hello@eligiblein.com, and we will take care of the matchmaking.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Devin, for having me. This was so fun.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for listening to Eligible In, a production of Eligible In Media. Our theme song is by Monster Rally. If you see someone you like on our show, or if you would like to nominate yourself or someone you love to be interviewed by us, please visit us at eligiblein.com for more information, including a link to subscribe to our newsletter, where you can stay up to date on our newest episodes, as well as exclusive features of our eligible people.